better. Good morning, everybody. I'm still waking up a little bit. I got up, took a shower, ran over to the Quick Fill, got me some little frosted chocolate donuts for breakfast. Got my coffee. Now let's make sure. Oh boy, I gotta get that switch made. Ooh wee, that could have been ugly. That could have been ugly too. Made those. I almost forgot to check the switches. So, yeah. So we got a nice chilled ride here with the Class 37. We're hauling steel coils. Yeah, something a little different on the Clinchfield Railroad, not the typical sort of our usual haul of coal or refrigerated boxcars. The only thing is we don't have the caboose with us because they didn't put it on, or I don't think it was an option to, or whatever. Chocolate for breakfast, yeah. Chocolate donuts. That's the thing. Little chocolate donuts. Now, if I was having a chocolate bar, that would not be very healthy, but, yeah, you know, little chocolate donuts, it's okay. I haven't had them in a while, and I was thinking about it last night. And the mini mart next door with the gas station opens up at 6, so I got up at about 4:45 and took a quick shower and walked over there and got my breakfast and got some creamer for the coffee, and yeah. Everything worked out just fine. Hopefully everybody's doing well this Sunday. Now it's funny, we're doing 17 miles an hour. It doesn't feel like we're doing 17 miles an hour right now. Like, I kind of feel if we were on the F7 doing this, it would feel like we were going super slow. That's interesting. The sense of speed is like we're going a little bit quicker here. I don't know why. I don't have them always, Pithers, so it's, you know, kind of a treat today, I guess you could say. But the poor woman who works there, somebody left a newspaper, or they put it on the counter there where you go to pay for your stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a Scranton paper. I'm like, okay. And so, yeah, we don't carry the Binghamton paper, and I'm like, all right, why not? And something about a bill, and she's like, so are you gonna, do you want this or not? And I'm like, I didn't put it there. I think she's still waking up as well. And she said she had, there was a lot of issues when she came into work this morning that she's trying to work through, that the person working in there last night didn't do their job correctly, so yeah. So they had to fix some stuff. Yeah, we are just cruising right along here. This does not feel like we are going slow at all. Even though by the speedometer standards we are. Nothing wrong with that. I make breakfast roll yesterday morning, sausage, egg, and bacon. Nice. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, well, yeah, we did put the cab light on, so we're going to start going through some tunnels here. So let's see where our destination is. We are going to go up here, and then we are going to take this line right there off where we were at the other day on the F7. We came down through here and stopped. So, and then we're going to go all zigzagging all the way through there, and there's our stop point right there. The only thing I don't like about this locomotive is that the lights are not very bright. So like if you're in a tunnel like this, you cannot really see in front of you, and you can't go outside, of course. I have some bacon for later. Nice, Patrick, nice. Ooh, we are speeding now. Look at that. I could have probably thrown in a via point, but that's okay. Oh, we're going downhill now, that's why. I forgot. We're Bizarro World. Because we are in... Yeah. Brakes are doing a pretty good job. Yeah. There we go. So, anyway, yeah, hopefully everybody's doing well. And, tomorrow, we're going to be going back on Flight Sim, I think, tomorrow. We'll do that in the afternoon, but tomorrow morning, we're going to do, let's see. I feel like doing. Somebody put in the chat, give me a route for tomorrow, but not Sandpatch Grade, Pithers. Not Sandpatch Grade, but give me give me a route in the UK, or not UK, somewhere over in Europe. There we go. Somebody give me a European route. It could be either UK, it could be Germany, France. Somebody give me a somebody put it in, and that's what we'll do tomorrow. Any takers at all? East Coast Way. You got it, Glenn. Thank you. Glenn stepped up to the challenge. Hello, Glenn. How are you? Good morning. Almost afternoon. East Coast Way it is. I wouldn't pick... Oh, oh wait, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know you like to see. I know you like to put Joe through that because you like to see him sweat it a bit. Please do leave a thumbs up. It all is appreciated. So yeah, we'll do that tomorrow, and then tomorrow on Flight Simulator we are going to take a flight just for fun. we're not going to do the whole pushing back from the gate and all that kind of stuff, but we are going to take a flight from Stuttgart to Berlin. Hello, Amela, welcome. Finish raiding the kitchen to come into stream. Hopefully you're well, Amela. You know, I remember the first time I was when the locomotive is faced like this, and I'm going uphill and I'm gaining speed, and I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Only because we're technically in the back end locomotive of the lead locomotive. I didn't even think to check that those were all set properly. Yeah, the brakes have been doing surprisingly well on here. So see, this should be, oh yeah, because we only got 12 cars of steel, so getting through the tunnel doesn't take forever like it does if we're running a normal train on here with the F7 or the Lynchfield SD40. Yep, East Coast way. We'll do a I'm good, thank you. Got my little chocolate donuts for breakfast so far. I didn't buy like a small roll of them like you normally get. I got me a little bag of mini frosted chocolate donuts. Got up and went over to the quick fill next door, and yeah, here we are. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Whole bag of chocolate donuts. Living dangerously there, Rob. Yep, it is. I am. Well, see, in the military, donuts are not referred to as donuts. They're called fat pills. And if you were borderline overweight by military standards, and somebody caught you having a donut, oh Lord, it was. You know, if you ever seen the movie, what's it called? Full Metal Jacket? The scene with the jelly donut? Yeah, they don't get like that, because that, you know, was a different time in the military, but they do, embarrass you for having a donut, because you're overweight and you're not supposed to be doing that. Yeah, so, but now that I don't, well, I don't have them all the time, because, you know, I do have my own weight issues with my fatty liver disease, but that's, you know, those are the things that happen when you don't take care of yourself for a long time. So, yeah. I'm just cruising right along here. This is... I thought for sure this would struggle on this railroad, but we are just zipping right along here. Yeah, nice scenic ride today. Keep your doors and windows locked. Amela will have them away quickly. Yeah. Well, I would reckon I have a bit of advanced warning since Amela lives in the city. So if Amela lived down the street, I'd be more concerned. But nah. So yeah, we'll do Flight Simulator tomorrow. We're going to go from Stuttgart to Berlin. We'll do the A320 service. I did kind of tinker around with some stuff last night in Flight Simulator, just trying some different settings that I think that aren't necessarily working 100% in the Xbox version. So yeah, it was a bit of a learning experience, but yeah, just trying some long route this one. Yeah, it is. It's a big map, and you have the branches and stuff, but it's just longer because you're stuck at 25, or you know, you're stuck at a fairly slow speed. But it feels like we're going faster than what we would be in the F7, for instance, right now. I kind of feel like we'd be struggling, you know, if we were doing a similar service. So, Milla, Rob would hear you crashing through the window. Well, well, in either case, wherever there could be crashing, I'm usually in that immediate vicinity, so it wasn't that I'd be hearing it. I would physically see, you know, somebody trying to enter my apartment. So, you know. So yeah, but well, just like any route, also is that 12 miles, that's like if we just went straight across from here to here, that's 12 miles. So I've always been perplexed, and maybe Amela, you could ask Dovetail Games this question if you wanted to. How do they, and that would be an interesting discussion with Matt, I think, or whoever handled this aspect of the game, the mileage. How do they calculate that? Because there's no way that all this and then all this is 12 miles. So I'm always curious, how do they calculate it and then measure it as you're driving? You know, because especially on a route like this, it's not like it's got a, you know, it's a straight line. We're zigzagging through canyons and such, you know, or all this lovely scenery. So yeah, I'd be curious to see how that works. If they, but I think that if you could make that suggestion to them somehow, that would be an interesting discussion, I think, on one of their live streams. You know, kind of like when Natalie and Matt were talking about the passengers and how do they create the passengers and all that. I think that was an interesting conversation. So I'd be curious to see how they measure distance. How do they help you track it in the game? Yeah, I think this was a good choice. Something interesting to have on a different route, or you know, see some classic British electric diesels on an American route. I like that. Hopefully everybody's enjoying it. Yeah, we're going to try to do Train Sim World 2 in the morning, and then in the afternoon we'll do Flight Simulator. I'm trying to find that nice sweet spot of where, you know, if I want to fly in America, you know, like it's fully light out, or, you know, well, if it's close to being, you know, if we do a West Coast flight, then it's, you know, the sun will be coming up soon, and we'll have that nice sunrise in the game like we did the other day. I feel safer in the train than in the plane. Well, I'm getting better. What I'm discovering is that it doesn't exactly go like the PC version, and I kind of feel like there's some updates that they're still working on to kind of make the experience a little bit better. But, you know, I feel like I'm getting a little bit better. The takeoff, like, I have no problem nailing it. The landings, it's kind of iffy whether or not I can nail the landing, but I'm getting a little bit better at it, you know. So we'll see how we do. But I feel pretty good. That, I mean, it's so yeah. Hopefully it'll be a good ride tomorrow from Stuttgart to Berlin. Not sure how long that'll be. I can't imagine it'd be a long flight. So hopefully that'll be a good little trip. But I see where a lot of the thrill of, you know, some of the YouTube or people on Twitch who play, Microsoft Flight Simulator, of course, I think they're all playing it on PC. I think there's a few people now that are doing the Xbox version. But, you know, they go through the whole checklist, flipping all the switches and doing all the, you know, and that adds to, I mean, it does add a sense of realism, right? Because that's what normally happens when you're getting on the plane. The pilots are doing all their pre-flight stuff and getting the aircraft ready for takeoff. Yeah, I've gotten a little bit better with that. I've read, though, in the forums that a lot of people are having problems with that the control stick that was specifically designed for the Xbox they're having problems getting the buttons assigned. You know, so yeah, that's a whole other issue that Thrustmaster is working on. They got to get a patch out, I guess, or a hot fix, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's so yeah, we're but I would like to get the flight stick and everything at some point. I'm guessing it's probably going to be another month or so before they have an update and everything to make it better. So eventually, yeah, I'd like to get that, just to have that experience to make it, because it is hard to, you know, to fly with this controller, because yeah, you could easily get heavy-handed with the little stick on the controller. Oh, we are just cruising right along. Haven't run into any red lights yet, knock on wood. Mick, you don't want to know. But I'm really excited. I mean, it's to have that ability. It's something else that I enjoy, and you know, I would have never expected a million years that we would have a really outstanding flight simulator on a console, you know. So that is really awesome that they were able to finally do that. And for the most part, well, no. So just like with Train Simulator or Train Sim World 2 and everything, the PC group feels that Microsoft has made too many changes to the game in order to lure people to the console version. So they've seen a drop in their, I guess, I don't know if it's graphics or if it's just their experience has changed. And of course that's, you know, unfortunate that that's happened. But that's not on, you know, we didn't ask for that to happen. That's just Microsoft had to do that. So hopefully now that they, you know, they can make some fixes as well. So good morning, Pulse. Very atrocious pillars. Welcome, Pulse. Happy to see you there. Either gets the plane off the ground or crashes off the end of the runway. You know what Umbella is like. She drives everything like she's still at full speed. Some Litchfield scenery with the Class 37 and some steel wagons. there's our branch off right there. And that's like an elevated branch off too. Oh, mine, well, I on my home route, Peninsula Corridor, I do prefer to drive the MP36. Elsewhere, I do like the LGV, the TGV duplex. That's fun. German train. I kind of like the 101. I think it is with the older passenger cars that they're very reminiscent of some of the passenger cars I rode in when I was in Germany. So it kind of gives me that sense of nostalgia about, you know, times I did take the trains in Germany. British. I do like the Class 37, to be honest. Yeah, I like these. Yeah. So yeah, that's. Now it's too bad. Well, we could do an off-the-rails thing. Well, I don't know how the F7 would manage on sand patch grade. But an AC 4400 off the rails here would probably manage fairly well. Alright, we are getting there. I like the Class 101 is where you need to change. Oh! Yeah, that one is a... Yeah. Well, see, most people... I don't think the gear... For me, the gear change isn't so much issue. I think a lot of people struggle with the lap brakes. You know, the braking system in the Class 101 is really a challenge. But it's not one that you can't overcome with time, but yeah. Steam trains, yeah, definitely, Mick. That's something. I mean, they're already in. Is it TS or TS21? I know I've seen Steve drive steam trains, but I don't know if it's in Train Simulator or Train Simulator 2021. But I think they have them there already, and that's going to be quite a challenge. But I think it'd be a really rewarding experience to get, you know, keep the steam pressure going so that you maintain your speed and everything. Yeah, the gears I did okay with. It's, yeah, I mean, I do okay with the brakes, but it is, you know, a lot of people are just put off by the Class 101 because of the brakes. But, you know, if you just keep trying it, you'll eventually feel more comfortable. I've struggled with finding the right braking distance to start. You know, either I start braking too early, then I'm late at the station, or I start braking too late and I darn near blow through the station. So, yeah, I agree with that, Vic. There is something really interesting, very nostalgic about steam locomotives and all that. And I think that's why there was such a push, to get like the J class up and running. They wanted to be able to go out and do tours and take people on excursions and such. Same thing with the Union Pacific Big Boy, because most people, you have a younger generation now that's never seen those trains or anything, or so it's when I was reading about railroads when I was in Afghanistan, I was always drawn to the the technology, that as time got on, the locomotives became larger and more powerful and everything, and so that technological advance, I think, was the most exciting thing about it. In the original train sim, I would think that would be a very well received locomotive in Train Sim World 2, Patrick. Absolutely. But with railroading, it's very similar in my view of when I started going to car races, and once you kind of get bit by that bug, there's all this stuff to learn, and there's all this history and everything. So yeah, there's this. It's great. You could just totally lose yourself. You could focus on this. Just alone, the steam era of railroading is a huge part of railroading. So it's something. I call it. You could geek out on it, and just you could totally lose yourself in it, and that's okay. When I started, going to the car races, and every time, especially when I'd go to the historic races at Monterey, it's like I'd always see something new, and I want to learn about that particular car, because a lot of the times it's a one-off, or somebody wealthy was able to create this car and it ran for so many years, and then it was sold off to a private collection. There's a whole history behind it, and finally somebody gets a hold of it who has the ability to bring it back to life. So yeah, it's that's a really interesting aspect of it, I think. So, Flying Englishman. What do you think of that train, the Flying Englishman? That would be good to have. I don't. I think you're just having a go, Pithers. I've never heard of a Flying Englishman. I've heard of the Flying Scotsman. So I don't know. Talking racing, Jamie Chadwick, she won yesterday, way ahead of the others. Jamie Chadwick. I know I've heard that name before. Is she, isn't she a development driver for Williams? But she races like in F2, I think. The name sounds familiar. But I think she's a development driver for Williams now. Yeah, I figured, Pithers. A nice try. I'm pretty sure we would have heard of the Flying Englishman a long time ago. Alright. Slowly making our way over to Moss Tipple Pocket. I don't know how they came up with a name like that, but how about the Flying Scotsman? That would be interesting. That would be wow. I mean, I'm sure there was past, back in the day when this railroad was created, they probably did have steam locomotives that came through because, that was well before each railroad had their own passenger service, so you'd have a mixture of freight and passenger. So I would think that would be an interesting. Oh, the W series. Huh. I'd have to look into that, Nick. I've heard her. I heard her name, but I thought she was doing. Part of her thing was that she was doing development work for, like a test driver for one of the, for either Williams or one of the other Formula One teams. Not that it'll probably lead to a full-time drive, but at least she's got that opportunity to help develop the car. W Series. Oh, it's Formula 3. Base cars. Interesting. Good for her. Yeah, for what? That's what I thought. Yeah, because I think she was at Goodwood driving some of the other Williams F1 cars that were there on their display runs up the hill at Goodwood earlier this year. So, yeah, good. And Williams has been like, they've had some female drivers basically, doing test driver duties. Because normally, if you're the test driver, if one of the main drivers is, out for whatever reason, so usually the test driver will get the call up. But God, that would be. Could you imagine what would happen if she gets a call up from Williams because one of their drivers is injured and she actually wins the race? That would blow people's minds for sure. Williams is definitely not the Williams of past. That's unfortunate. They had a documentary, I think it was either on Netflix or on Amazon Prime, that I watched about the history of Williams racing and all that. It's kind of like a mixture of, they were showing a modern Grand Prix and then talking about Frank's life and everything. Yeah. Very interesting. And talking to his kids, and I think just even getting her into F1 car would be a big step. Yeah. I mean, I think testing is a good step, but it's, not most test drivers never get to compete, unless something's happened but they'll usually call up somebody else, like when Michael Schumacher broke his legs at Silverstone in '99, and they called Mika Salo up to fill in, and basically he was there to back up Irv the Swerve. I miss Eddie Irvine. He was such a character. But yeah. So they could have brought up their test driver, but Mika was a proven race driver. I think he became. I want to say he even eventually became a factory Porsche or factory Ferrari driver for their GT programs for a while. Because he raced for Risi Competizione in the Ferraris. But yeah, I think for her to start an actual race would be a huge step. I don't know that they would give her that chance, even if she's worked hard on car development and proven that she's a team player and everything. But it's good that they have a W Series, because when I saw Danica Patrick in the, I think it was like the Toyota Atlantic or the Indy Lights, basically, even though it was under the Champ Car Series, it was only her and one other woman racing in the Indy Lights Series or the Toyota Atlantic, because at that point there was a split between IndyCar and Champ Car. So I think it was the Toyota Atlantic Series. But yeah, there was only her and one other woman, and I can't remember who the other gal's name was. But the first time I saw her in 03 at Laguna Seca, she was young. I think she was like 18, 19 years old, and her face was plastered everywhere around the track, because she was racing for Bobby Rahal at the time, and it was a huge marketing blitz. Posters of her or banner kind of things with her picture all over, and I don't think she was even that successful in that series. But she, that was the beginning of the marketing of her as this next big thing, and she really wasn't. I think it was more about her looks than anything else. It wasn't about her driving abilities or whereas the driver Milka Duno from Venezuela, now she's a phenomenal driver, and she's had some success in sports car racing and all that. She's got 4 degrees. I think one of them is in nautical engineering. I mean, she's very smart. So I think she had the ability to communicate. Was it Catherine in Champ Car? It might have been Catherine Legg. It was either her or it might have been Catherine Legg, or I'm trying to think somebody else. Sarah. Yeah, there was only like one other woman that was it. They never made it to Champ Car. They made it to basically they were in the junior series, kind of like F2 basically. They were the support race for the Champ Car weekend. What I heard was that Bobby Rahal was he wanted to get her name out there, and then he was going to put her in sports cars for a while, just to kind of, broaden her horizons and everything. And I don't think she ever did that. And then when he jumped ship back over to the IndyCar series, she went with him, and then, was eventually given a full-time ride. And that, it just, I think it kind of fell apart from there. I don't know that there was much. It didn't seem like she ever grew as a driver. But they all thought she was the next big thing, that my biggest complaint about Danica Patrick was that she was they just put her name out there, but her driving never developed. It was more about her being there. She's attractive and all that stuff, and it was more about her sex appeal than her ability as a driver. And I think that's what pushed me away from IndyCar, was that, you know, every time it didn't matter, she could be in 20th place and they'd be talking about her, and it's like she's not even leading the race. You know, she's not in the position to win it unless it's just by happenstance. You know, it's not like she's telling the engineers. I don't get the sense that she ever communicated very well with the engineers on the team about what was going on with the car so that they could make the adjustments necessary. So, yeah, that's always been my biggest sort of pushback about her as a driver. I don't think she was ever anything that special. There was other, you know, Simone D. There's other female drivers who've been better than her, who I think communicate well with the driver. Even when she went to NASCAR, I don't think she ever really told her crew chief, well, the car's doing this, so they make the track bar adjustments, you know, during the race. Because, you know, it seems like that's, you know, most everybody I ever saw in NASCAR, whether it's Tony Stewart or Jimmy John, you know, they could tell the crew chief, hey, the car's doing this in the turns. You know, so they're, you know, when they come in, they'll take either some track, you know, they'll make the track bar adjustments and all that stuff. And so they're able to kind of develop the car a little bit during the race, and next thing you know, they're up front and they're winning because they're able to make those help the team make the adjustment on the car. If you can't communicate that, then of course you're always going to be a mid-pack runner, or you'll be lucky if you're a top 10 finisher. You know, but yeah, I think there's certainly been other female drivers. I say Milka Duno's name all the time. I'm like, you guys, she was way better. She may not have had all the results, but I think she communicated with her car engineers probably very clearly what was going on with the car. You know, that's why you have brilliant drivers, like especially, you know, Michael Schumacher, before, during, and after the race, was always telling his engineers what was going on with the car. If you can't do that, then, you know, you got no chance. I need you in my F1 pit wall because Jeff is rubbish. Over here in the UK, we don't get to see a lot of NASCAR on the Sport Channel. Well, I'll tell you what. I've watched NASCAR on TV. I've been to practice and qualifying at Sonoma for the road course race. It's nothing that special, to be honest. The main thing that I think attracts people to NASCAR is, one, it's very loud, and usually the wrecks are freaking crazy. Those are the only two things. The cars themselves are not that special. They're nothing. If you put a NASCAR car next to Toyota's current hybrid race car, it's when you put a Toyota NASCAR car right next to that Toyota hybrid race, you know, in the WEC, I'm more excited about that hybrid car than I am about a car that supposedly looks like it just came off the street, but it's not. It's all stickers. Stock car racing is not what it used to be, where you had some modified, you know, you could go, like when Richard Petty was racing, you could go and buy a Plymouth that was very similar to the one that he raced on Sunday. But yeah, when I went to the race, I was just like, it didn't. Having gone to a NASCAR race and then going to the American Le Mans Series races, or even the Rolex Sports Car Series when they were, there was different sports car series in America. You get way more access in a. Well, and I didn't realize at the time that the Rolex Sports Car Series was sanctioned by NASCAR. They were a NASCAR brand. But the American Le Mans Series, I could walk around and watch Audi work on their prototypes, or I could watch Porsche working on their GT cars. And usually by the time that they got to Laguna Seca, it was end of season anyway. So, most of the GT teams would, hey, you want to come in? They might not be a super powerful GT team. Like, I wouldn't expect to be able to go into Corvette's racing area in the paddock. But, some of the smaller Porsche teams would, hey, you want to come in and take some pictures? Sure. Well, I mean, but there's an appeal to NASCAR. I saw it in person, and it wasn't impressive at all, to be honest. It was a bit of a letdown. It's more, I think, when you're there in person, it's not about the cars really, it's about the driver themselves. And they're not there to protect the car from prying eyes necessarily, although they may, how many times have some of these crew chiefs been caught cheating, doing stuff illegally, and then they got to pay a fine and all that kind of stuff. It's not about keeping the cars away from public eye. It's more about the drivers are so popular, the Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Dale Jr., just to name a few. That's what the public is there to see, and they want that access. And then after a while, the driver would never be able to get anything done. They wouldn't go to their briefings and go to, they'd always be trying to talk to the fans. So they have to have that separation where now you could only, I remember very clearly on the day of practice, I wanted to go across to the bookstore at the Sonoma Raceway. And the guy said, no, you have to walk around. You can't cut through the paddock. And I'm like, yeah, I know you do, but there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, they don't. You have to be a VIP in order to get into the paddock. We're still going here. We got quite a bit of track to go still. That's the thing. They don't want you anywhere near. And I'm like, Laguna Seca on either an American Le Mans Series weekend or the Rolex Sports Car Series, I could walk around the paddock and it's no big deal. And even more so on historic weekends. Oh my God, you could walk around, as long as you don't go touching the cars when you shouldn't be, but you can get up to some really awesome cars there that are way more, I think, way better than a stock car or a NASCAR car. But yeah, I never, I used to get excited about watching like the Daytona 500 or whatever, and I just don't care anymore, But I don't know, I think there will come a time that there will be a female driver in Formula One. I think that, as long as teams like Williams give drivers that opportunity, the next step would be to have a full-time. I think, Jamie Chadwick would be a good starting point. I think she's in the right place, right time. I think you cut one of the other drivers, especially if they're not, they're not doing much, really. You cut them and give her the opportunity. Shake things up a bit. The only problem is that because Williams is now generally a midfield runner at best, unless she can extract something out of that car but they got the Mercedes engine, so if they can if she can help them extract more out of the car and make them contenders, then I think people would sit up and take notice. So, but then what would happen is, since they got the Mercedes engines, I think still, Mercedes would say, well, you got to reel her in, or they would buy out her contract or something, maybe, and she wouldn't be allowed to race. They'd put her in a test roll again, and that would be the end of it if she starts doing too well. And that's the unfortunate part. There's always those behind the scenes political silliness that these teams play, where I think everybody would be happy to see a full-time female F1 driver, but if she starts doing very well, somebody's going to step in and say, oh, okay, and then they're going to buy out her contract, and that'll be the end of it. And they'll put her in the test roll again, and whatever success that she's found, it'll go down in the history books, but that'll be it. I mean, could you imagine if Lewis Hamilton got beat by her? That would totally upset the power structure in F1. So, but it's good that they have that series for women. It's no cost, and that's usually, I think, the biggest barrier is the money aspect of it. How are you going to get the chance to prove yourself if you can't, if money is in the way of your success, or the lack of money? But I mean, so let's say you have somebody who dominates that series, that W series. How do where is that going to lead to? Either F1 is not really an option. Either you go to IndyCar, or you give up on your dreams of open wheel racing and go sports car racing instead. And generally you're going to be, you're going to have the only door that's going to be open is probably GT racing, because the prototypes usually have their factory drivers, and they've been with the program for quite some time, and they're entrenched in that position. But GT racing is a good option, but or you go NASCAR, but it's going around in an oval is way different than doing a street course or a road course. But yeah, I don't think F1, unless somebody puts up the money to fund a completely women-driven Formula One team, like somebody's done in GT racing. The Iron Lynx, they have an all-female driving team who've done pretty well, but they don't get that. That's as far as careers may go, unless somebody in a prototype organization says, "Oh, maybe we want to bring this person up into our team and see how it goes." But yeah, but nobody's willing to bank on that chance that it would be a good opportunity, I think. Yeah, but time will tell. You know, certainly if I was a multi-billionaire, you know, you fund a season, and because you can't just be a multi-millionaire anymore, you have to be a multi-billionaire. You know, certainly somebody like Jeff Bezos or Richard Branson or Elon Musk even, they could do it. It's just, what's the return on the investment? That's what people are more concerned about. But I think that's what it would take, is either a couple multi-billionaires get together and create a team, or they'll never get that opportunity. I mean, I think it would be interesting to see, but it would be, the bad part is I don't think people would take it really seriously, because they'd say, "Oh, okay, this is just a bit of theatrics, nothing serious is going to happen." It would take them, I think, they would have to really, within the first season or two, they'd have to be above midfield, like top 5, and you know, that's the only way people would take it seriously. If they run midfield or lower, then people would be like, "Yeah, this is just a joke." You know, somebody's just flushing cash down the toilet or whatever. So yeah, I don't know how that would work, but that's what would have to happen, I think. But you'd have to have a lot of people dedicated to the project as well. And some people would be at first, and if it doesn't go anywhere, then you'd start to see people leave, I think. Yeah, on the podium or top 5, yeah. But consistently, you know, and you're showing that improvement, then people would take notice. But otherwise, people would treat it as just, it's theatrics, it's a joke. And some billionaire just bought a team and you know, just to make a mockery of F1. So, yeah, I mean, but you'd have to get an engine supplier. You know, you don't have to worry about tire supplies, because Pirelli just supplies everybody. I don't know, I think it could be done, but it's just whether or not somebody who's got the money be willing to do it. Because there'd have to be an initial investment and say, okay, we're going to do this for 3 seasons. That's as much as they would probably commit to. 5 would be a stretch. But I hate to see it where they get into that 3rd season and they're showing that promise, and at the end of the 3rd season, the financier basically says, "Yeah, no, I'm out." You know. But I mean, anything's possible. It just takes somebody willing to make that leap of faith, I think. But the biggest thing too is, and they can't pull. What I hate to see is it's more about their sex appeal than it is about their driving. And that's what happened with Danica Patrick. She, you know, it was more about her sex appeal than her driving ability. So, if they could find that balance, that'd be great. But, you know, not that they deserve to be sexualized, you know, but or that they should be sexualized, but that's usually the marketing ploy, is their sex appeal more than their driving ability. And I think that's what brought people to the track for Danica Patrick. Oh, she's attractive, and you know, and that was it. That's all. They weren't there to see her win races. They were there, if she happened to win, that was a bonus. But they were there to see her in person because you know, she was attractive, and people got, you know, GoDaddy. They made all those suggestive commercials, and you know, that was it. And she kind of sold herself for that, you know. So that's the only other way, seriously, as well. That driver's in the moment, at least for them. So why not give her a shot? I agree, Vic. That's what I'm saying. Is if Williams, if one of their drivers is not not performing to standard, right? Say, hey, you know what? You're done after this weekend. We're going to bring Jamie into the team. We're going to get, you know, if she's deserved the opportunity, if she's shown that she can win in this W Series, and she's good with the car, and she, you know, drives well, communicates with her team consistently, and in a manner that helps them understand the car and what can they do to make those minor changes during the race or whatever to help her win. That's the kind of driver you want, you know. Take a page. I mean, that's what Ayrton Senna did. That's what Schumacher did. That's what Prost did. Any of those world champions, I guarantee you, even Lewis Hamilton, he communicates with the engineers in a clear and concise way that helps them keep the car in top condition so that he can go out and win. If he stops communicating, then the results are going to start to slide off. You know, that's the big thing. Whether you could, you know, you have to be able to communicate with your engineers. If you can't, then there's no point. But also, the engineers have to be receptive to the communication. But yeah, if one, all it takes is one team to take that chance. Even if it's AlphaTauri or anybody, for that matter. If one team basically says, you know what, we like what we see in that W Series, we're going to give, whether it's Jamie Chadwick or any other women, we're going to give them a chance for the rest of the season. We'll see how it goes. And if we see some really great driving, we see some improvements, that's the driver we're going to keep for next season. So you have the opportunity to prove yourself, which is appropriate. And you, if it all goes according to plan, and there should be a written contract, hey, if we start moving the team up the grid, we want a full-time drive next season. You know, that's something her agent would have to fight for. That's how you make it happen. But all it takes is that one team to be brave enough to do it, to take that chance. And right now, I don't think they will, because they don't. Some of those teams are probably already being mocked and ridiculed. But hey, you know, it's an opportunity. You know. So yeah, I'd be happy. I'd be interested to see how it plays out. But the teams right now are a bit wishy-washy, I think, when it comes to that. They like the idea of having a female driver in the paddock, but when it actually comes to making it happen, that's when you separate the the serious folks from the pretenders. And right now, they're all pretenders. You know, they talk a good game, but when it comes down to it actually happening, they're like, well, you know, we got our drivers right. You know, they'll always come up with some reason why they won't do it. So if she's not going to get a ride at some point, a better offer from a Formula One team, her option is either to go to IndyCar or go sports car racing. Because you don't want to be stuck in a junior series for the rest of your life. You know, you want to get that promotion. So right now, the only option is you hope that an American IndyCar team, any of them, take notice and offer her a ride there. That's probably her best shot at open wheel racing. But then you have to contend with the oval racing and the road course racing. Road course racing, I think she'd be fine with, but sports, or oval might be a different beast. But yeah, I don't know. But I think her best option is to go IndyCar and just put her head down there and just work hard at it. And keep working at the success. But, otherwise, I think the W Series, for all its good intentions, it's going to kind of peter out after a while, too. Because none of those women are going to get offers for any sort of serious drives. The only other option, if IndyCar says no, her only other option would be to go sports car racing, and she'll be in a GT car, and that'll be it. But you could be a class winner at Le Mans. You could get on the podium at Le Mans. For sure. You might be a runner-up in the WEC Championship, but or other option would be the WeatherTech Sports Car Series. That's an option as well, but you can go GT racing there as well. But that's very touchy as well, because they're doing away with the GTLM after this season. Corvette's getting punished because they're the only ones in GTLM right now. They have to step down to Grand Touring Daytona. So those are her options. I think that's the realistic for any of those women. Their option right now is either WEC or WeatherTech Series, or maybe European Le Mans Series, or the GT World Championship, which I love watching that because it's really close racing. But yeah, open wheels, I think it's much harder for almost for anybody at this point to break into. You have to bring a lot of money with you now, for sure. All right, we're finally getting into Moss Tipple Pocket. I better get back on the throttle here. Interesting conversations today, for sure. I think, quite honestly, I'll probably be long gone before a woman actually gets a full-time, long-term contract in F1. I could be wrong, but I don't see it happening anytime soon, unfortunately. Even if they're doing phenomenal results in Formula 3 or Formula 2, they're just not going to give them that opportunity, unfortunately, I think. But I don't know. All it takes is one brave person or persons to make it happen. Jamie Chadwick's already brave enough for doing what she's doing. it's going to take somebody just as brave as her to make it happen. In a bigger picture sense. All right, here we are, coming into our destination. Well, that was not too bad, actually. I was expecting the worst, but hoping for the best, and the Class 37 didn't disappoint. Ooh, good thing I was just thinking, I better check the points. Ooh, that could have gone bad. I would have had to stop and back up, and it'd be my luck that there's a red right behind us or something. We would have spattered, and that would be the end of that. Well, that went by quick. Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on an hour and a half. And, yeah, we did it. I tell you what, the Class 37 did very well. Much better than I expected. So, you just never know what you get with these off-the-rails scenarios. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Nice to showcase something a little bit different. But tomorrow we'll be on East Coast Way as suggested by Glenn. He was the only person that offered up an idea. So we'll do a 377 service. I'm not sure exactly from where to where, but we'll do yeah, have some fun with that. Hey, you guys! Your steel's here. Yeah, good conversation today in the chat. Greatly appreciate that. Now the good thing is I don't see. Yeah, it's not there. Perfect. We don't have to worry about spatting as we come into our destination here, which is good. Because normally there's a red light right on the other end of that stopping point. Oh, look at this stop. Look at that. Look at that. Nailed the stop, too. You're welcome, Patrick. Look at that. That was a nice stop. 27 miles. We'll round it up. Hour and 25 minutes. Not too bad. Well, there we are. That's going to be it for today's Train Sim World 2 stream. Greatly appreciate everybody coming in, hanging out. Really enjoyed that off the rails scenario. Always give that a shot. If you got Train Sim World 2, try the off rail stuff. Just have some fun with it, you know. Don't get crazy with it, but just have some fun and try some different stuff like this. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. I will see you tomorrow morning. No flight sim today. We'll pick that up tomorrow. After we do East Coast Way, we'll do a flight from Stuttgart to Berlin. So anyway, what a show off. All right, I will see you all later. Take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.